Warning, the following video has not been approved by the Comic Code Authority and is intended for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
What is up, everybody? Happy Friday to all of you. This is the Comic.Assassin, and we're going to be doing a review of two comic books that just came out this past Wednesday. But I'll have to be honest with you, I'm coming off of a very difficult day yesterday. Like I mentioned during my very first video, I'm in the process of doing my PhD. I'm near the end of doing my PhD. And yesterday I did what we know as the oral comprehensive exams, which is basically when you sit in front of your committee and they grill you for hours. And man, it was brutal. Like, it was so freaking brutal. Like, they put my ass through the ringer, and I passed. Awesome, I passed. But it was one of those things that was so freaking brutal that even afterwards, I didn't want to call anybody and tell them. I didn't want to talk about it. Like, it was a very bad day yesterday. Even though I passed. I should be excited, but it was so brutal, I'm not. But this morning I woke up and I was like, you know what? All work and no play makes Johnny a dull boy. Alright, so I had to come back and read some comics, and I'm going to let you know what I thought about them. So, with that being said, the two books I'm going to be talking about today are Dark Age #1 and Coffin Bound #1. Now, I'll start with Coffin Bound. So, Coffin Bound is it's a new Image book. And this is going to be a difficult one to review. Now, normally when I do my reviews, I kind of pick them out beforehand. Like, hey, I think these would be two good books to do a video on. I kind of wish I did not pick this book because this is a difficult book to review. Alright, so keep that in mind. Now, when I first saw the book, I didn't know what to expect. So there's all these pinks and oranges and stuff in the cover, and I was like, oh no, is this going to be like another Snot Girl or one of those type of comic books when you open it up and it's like reading an Easter egg because all the pastel colors? Luckily, it was not. Alright, the artwork was pretty good in this book. But basically, it starts off with this, our main character waking up, and there's this vulture character standing over, which to me automatically just screamed Moon Knight. Alright, you know how Moon Knight has the Kanashu, the vulture always in the back of his head type thing? That's what it reminded me of. But basically the vulture guy is like, hey, I wanted to wake you up because death is coming. And she's like talking to him like, whatever, blah blah blah. And then he's like, oh, somebody's here. But this isn't the person who I'm waiting for. So she goes, gets her gun. She's ready for a battle. She's kind of like, I'll take care of this. And these guys show up. They shoot up her house, and basically she comes out and she wrecks shop. All right, she takes some of them out. But when she's doing that, they're telling her like, hey, even though we're here to kill you, we're here to do you a mercy because you just got a hit put on you by the Earth Eater, pretty much. Like, death is coming for you. And this is where this book gets pretty awesome. So this Earth Eater character right here, that looks pretty freaking cool. Alright. So what the Earth Eater does, at first he doesn't appear to be human, but there's a few other panels where he does seem or he might be a man. That I don't know. But basically he's like a part of the earth and he will eat the soil. And that gives him information. Like the earth is talking to him. And that's how he tracks down who he's been contracted to kill. Anyway, she takes out those guys. She's on the run. And she's like, you know what? I'm leaving this behind, and I have to go see the Oracle. Oracle named Cassandra, right? So we don't know why, and she actually says that something like, "This could be far worse than death if I don't go see the Oracle." like she has a debt that needs to be paid, even though it's not said what that debt is in this book. So she knows she's on the run. She's got this vulture guy that she keeps on having conversation to. And this is where this book takes a weird turn. Alright, so she makes this phone call and she calls up what she says is her manager. And she's telling him what happens. And he's like, oh, this is a noble pursuit. Like, yeah, keep on going. I'll see what I can do. But the whole time, like, he's looking at this freaking chainsaw, like, what's got you so preoccupied with that chainsaw, buddy? You know? Like, are you about to go all Texas Chainsaw Massacre on somebody? I have no idea. But that's where it gets even more weird. So then it shoots to this nightclub. And there is some nudity in this comic book. Okay? Definitely not one for kids. So they go to this nightclub. And basically... And I have to share this scene with y'all, because this is the most brutal scene, I think, in the whole freaking book. What we think is a stripper about to strip this guy, all of a sudden, she just starts ripping off her skin. Okay? Apparently, that's a part of the entertainment. I mean, that's some brutal stuff, man. And she leaves, and the guy's just, like, crying, and there's some guys talking in the background, kind of explaining why people are doing this, even though I don't think they did a good job of that. But then she goes up, and I don't know if this is the same girl or not. I'm assuming it is. And then there comes this other character, and he's kind of what I feel is kind of like the owner of the place, the manager of this place. And he's talking all poetically, and like she's bandaging herself up, so apparently she can heal after doing what she just did to herself. And he starts asking about Izzy, who I'm thinking is the main character, but it's not really well said beforehand. But basically, he finds out what's happening, that a hit has been put out on her, and he's like, what the hell is going on? So, once again, they're on the run. The Earth Eater comes to the place that she burned down. So he knows that he just missed her, but he's on the scent, okay? And then that same guy that I was just talking about, he shows up, and he's like, hey, you're the Earth Eater, right? And he's like, pretty much I'm going to give you two choices. You can either take all this money to not do the hit, or we're going to kill you. And the Earth Eater's like, hey, you're the one that put the hit out in the first place. And he says something like, oh God, what did he say? Pretty much he feels like he's amused, that I guess like he's channeling spirits through him, and sometimes not everything that he says is his own, which was really weird. But the Earth Eater was like, you know, you're a distraction, I'm done with you. And pretty much opens up the earth and swallows them all up. But then our main character does find this Cassandra. In the meantime, Cassandra's over here. She's making, I guess she's an oracle. She's doing this little prophecy. She's like, the visitor I'm about to have is about to bring the death of me. And she finds out that it is Izzy. And it ends up with them kissing. So, wow. That's a hard book to review, y'all. I'm not going to lie, like, I like the plot, even though I have no idea what the hell the plot is. I really don't. It's so all over the place. You have really no good idea what is going on. It is worth picking up issue 2. Like I said, I didn't mind the story in itself. I think the artwork was good. And sometimes the artwork kind of reminded me kind of Preacher in some ways. But yeah, it was intriguing enough to pick up number 2. The only thing I just didn't like is that the dialogue and the language. Like, it made it really hard to follow what was going on. It was they either misspelled a lot of stuff, or they did it in a way to kind of give you an idea of maybe an accent or something like that. So that's the only thing I really am bashing this book on, is that it just did not really flow good. The way they were talking to each other just didn't seem natural. But then again, we don't know what time frame they're at, what's going on. Very weird book, but I enjoyed it. It is already sold out on Midtown, so if this is one that you want to pick up and you haven't already, you can probably go on, the Feebay and get it. Just don't overspend unless you really, really want to, which I don't know why you would. It should be easily attainable, but it was kind of a lower print run. Now, I'm going to talk about The Dark Age, which is a Red 5 Comics publication. Now, I'll be honest, I think this is actually the first comic I've ever read from Red 5 Comics. The only one that I can really think of off the top of my head is, I think they did the Riptide series, which I didn't read, but I've heard a lot of good things about. But from the synopsis of this story, is basically you think of an age where metal has been wiped out. It's either rusting or decroding, and so everybody's back to using more primitive things like stones and wood, glass, things like that. And so it starts off with, and who's the writers? Hanfield, and then we got Rodriguez, Hopkins, Eli. So it starts off, they're in New York, there's this family, they're at a diner, okay, kind of average day. Basically it's a father, a daughter, and a wife who's pregnant. Like, she's about to go at any minute. And then all of a sudden, this big catastrophe happens, okay? Now, they all seem to survive, but the wife doesn't seem like she got the best end of it. You get the idea that she's going, but she's like, the baby's coming. Okay? So she's about to give birth even though she's dying. And then it goes to 13 years later, and basically it goes to this scene where you see this father and their son kind of trying to hunt down these deer. Or elk. That's probably more like elk. But anyway, they're hunting, okay? They end up catching it with a net. And the father's like, okay, here, you take care of it. And the son's like, no, I just don't want to. Like, he doesn't really want to kill the thing. And this was actually a pretty brutal scene, especially if you don't have any hunting experience and don't like to see animals die. But like, the guy takes the deer out, or the elk out, and they're surviving, okay? So they got their catch, and he's talking to his son, and he's like, I won't be here forever. Like, you have to learn how to do this stuff. And one of their dogs gives off a little warning. And this is what's kind of cool. They're like, there was a sign, I forget which panel it was on. This one right here. There's this little panel right here where it says, instead of New York, it says New Pork. And there's also this Tiawaki or something. And the son's asking what that sign meant. So apparently, New Pork, I guess they call them New Porkers because I guess they're cannibals. Alright, and they call the people that they eat like long pig and stuff like that. So they're dealing with some cannibals after this apocalyptic scene. But basically, they get a warning. The father comes out and they're getting attacked. Alright, so they take out one of these guys. But then they capture the dad, and the dad's like, Jonah, take your shot. And the kid's like, I can't do it, Dad. But then all of a sudden, the daughter comes in and saves him. Alright. Now, I like that she has this little paddle with some metal on it. Kind of reminds me of Negan a little bit with a bat. But it says Wonder Bitch on it. I thought that was pretty cool. Anyway, she takes him out and he's like, hey, I told you to stay home. And she's like, and not to follow us. And she's like, I wasn't following you, I was following them. And they find out some information that, like, hey, these aren't the New Porkers that we thought they were. This is another group. So, and he's like, why are all these other groups moving more north? Like, something has to be going on down in the south. that's pushing all these animals and all these other groups up north. So they go on their search, and they end up finding this camp. I don't know if there's a good scene that actually will help depict that. But anyway, they go and raid this camp. At least a small group of them. They were like playing Trivial Pursuit or something like that. They capture the one guy, and they realize that in this world of no metal, these people not only have armor, but they have made guns again. Now, to me, this is like the whole, like, they're using like 3D printing or something like that. They're using like plastic and rubber to make their weapons. And this guy that they captured is like, we're under orders from the Emperor. And this guy's like, what are you talking about the Emperor? Like, we have no ruler, But apparently it's an Empress. Okay, so it's a female leader that's leading the surge for them to go and, like, take over everything. So, basically, they capture the guy. The guy kind of spills his beans about a little bit about what's going on. And there's some other really cool stuff that goes on there. And then they go to one of the neighboring tribes that I guess they've had dealings with, but they might not be on the best terms with. But kind of give them a heads up, like, hey, this is what's happening. We have this invasion coming. And they seem more like, I forget what they call themselves. But they seem more like Native American type of tribe in this. And they come in, they tell them, they give them the warning, they say the hi and the yes. And the girl, the daughter's having a conversation with somebody else. I guess another woman from the other tribe. Who I guess they know each other at this point. But they start freaking out, and I guess she kind of like just passes out. Well, she wakes up to find that she's sick. And I think she knows she's been sick. But she's been given this medicine over years because she had a heart transplant. Alright, or something like that. So there's metal in her chest that's rusting away. Because all the metal's going away. And they've been giving her medicine to stop or slow down this process, but they're in need of more medicine. So the son, he kind of figures it out, and he's like, I always thought when we were talking about stuff like this, we were talking about Dad. I never had no idea that it was you. And she was like, hey, this has been going on with me since I was 6. And there's a really touching little cover right there. And that's how it ends. So basically, not only are they in this really weird situation, the situation is making her fight for her life. Right? The metal's rusting away from the heart. They're going to try to find more medicine. They have this invasion coming. Dude, I really dug this book. The artwork was great. The writing was great. It flowed really well. Pick up Dark Age, y'all. Pick it up. If you haven't already, I highly recommend it. I'm interested to see what happens in issue number 2. Now, this is sold out at Midtown. And this is already going above cover price on eBay as well. Alright, like I said, both of these are sold out. However, you can still go to the Red 5 Comics website and still get this for cover price. Okay? It's still available. I don't know what their shipping is, so you might end up paying more. But if you're interested in this book, go out, do your research, look at what it would cost going to Red 5 Comics versus another secondary market like Feebay and all that. But it still is available, all right, even though it is sold out on Midtown. But yeah, so that's my comic book review of the day. Like I said, that Coffin Bound is really hard to do a review on. I'm still flustered from my events of yesterday, unfortunately. But I had to read some comments to get my mind off it, and I definitely wanted to share what I felt about them with you. If you read any of these books, please let me know what you thought about them. Okay? And with that being said, I want to thank everybody who's watched these videos, who subscribed, left a comment. Like I said, I really like the comments. I want to engage with you folks as much as possible. But with that being said, this is The Comic Assassin. I'll see you back no later than Monday when I do my normal Monday show. And happy hunting, y'all.